Good morning. It's Friday, January 30th, 2015. This is Tech Talk Today, episode 125. My name is Chris, and joining me in studio today, special in-studio guest, Mr. Noah. Hey there, Noah.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for joining me. You're here Why are you here? Why are you in studio?
I am in studio. Well, today I'm in studio because I had nothing better to do. But I'm in the great state of Washington.
Yeah.
Because you and I are going to host the Linux Action Show on Sunday.
I think, yeah. It's going to be your first Linux Action Show on Sunday. You're doing it in studio.
Yeah.
You want to get some local beers tonight?
I would love to get some
Let's give you some Washington flavor. I just thought of a great place to go. So before we start talking about beer, we start talking, how do you, okay, oh my gosh, I know, I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, my mouth is watering.
About beer or about
what I'm going to eat when we go to the place where we're going to drink beer.
I see.
I'm getting all excited. My saliva is just.
I can see that.
Oh.
I can see that.
Yeah, so I got to get distracted with some tech news. So let's bring in our Mumble Room so that way we can break it all down. Time-appropriate greetings, Mumble Room.
Hello.
Hey, guys. So we're going to start today with a little bit of Googs, and then anybody who's a VirtualBox fan will want to stay tuned. I like that we're all familiar with it, right? So I think we're going to have a good discussion on the future of VirtualBox. I think that's going to be the piece that I'm looking forward to. But we got to start with some Android news. Android shipped 1 billion smartphones worldwide in 2014. Just in 2014, a billion phones. A billion phones, Noah.
That's a lot of phones.
It's a lot of phones.
That's a winner's problem.
And yeah, it sure is. Of course, a lot of them are probably in the low end. But shipments grew 30% annually to reach a record 1.3 billion units in 2014. That means roughly, Android accounted for 81% of all smartphones last year and shipped over 1 billion units worldwide. Wow. First time ever. That's a ton of phones. And probably everybody in the audience is almost in that group, or at least a huge percentage of them. What are you smiling at?
No, just that makes Apple looks like crap, really, doesn't it? I agree, Count Zero.
Yeah,
I agree 100%.
I guess it depends on your metric, right?
My metric is anything that I can use to justify to make Apple look like crap.
Okay.
That's my metric.
Yeah. Now, if all those companies are losing their ass doing it, that's another story. Well, go ahead.
I wonder how much money has been spent on all of those Android phones together, and then how much Apple have announced they made in profits this year.
You know, the other thing that makes me wonder is how does Android One factor into this? Because Android One, if you recall, is essentially Google's play to sort of take direct control over Android by subsidizing the parts, working directly with the carriers. Android One, in these developing... Now, remember, a lot of these sales, right? These came from these countries where Android One's going to be a big player.
Mm-hmm.
That could undercut the OEM market even more. But it could raise this number up because it's going to lower the price of these Android devices because they still can't get them cheap enough, right? And I know it's hard for us to understand, but like $25 is too much,
it's
right?
Huge, right?
Yeah. So if they can get it at $25, then people can really make a big commitment. And the way Google is doing that is they're subsidizing the board, they're subsidizing the wireless data, they're subsidizing a ton of the carrier's costs, and that's Android One, and it's a standardized Android platform. Now, that's where a lot of these sales. We'll just see. So at the end of 2015, that'll be what we're watching for, I think. While we're on the topic of Android, CyanogenMod recently came out during, I think it was just a general, I can't remember if it was a blog post. I didn't cover it on the show because it just didn't quite line up with our schedule. But Cyanogen came out and said, look, you know what we'd like to do? We'd like to take Android away from Google. We'd like to be able to run away and make a more popular, more better fork of Android, and essentially Google isn't the dominant Android player anymore. Mm-hmm. Pretty bold statement. Well, this week they got some backing from Microsoft. Microsoft is investing in CyanogenMod, or the Cyanogen company. What do you think? What is it, Noah?
Here, if I told you that I don't trust people like that. I mean, it's one of those things where I don't know. I don't trust Microsoft. Even if they state that their intentions are good, and even if their intentions appear to be good.
Oh, no, there's no good intentions about this. This is single-handedly about enabling a company to come in and get some power around Android to sort of take power away from Google.
See, this is
the problem is Android is more than just a mobile cellular platform. Android is becoming a platform for all of these embedded devices.
Right.
And that is a ton of power for Google to wield.
Right.
Because it's not just smartphones, which just by themselves, right? Just smartphones by themselves would be enough to really care. But when you start talking about the Internet of Things and they're all Android powered, right? Now Microsoft's really getting worried. But if Cyanogen can come in and say, we've got a better version that does things better, that isn't connected directly to Google, and we've now got financial backing by Microsoft,
Right.
I think that could shift a little bit of the Android power structure if Cyanogen was successful. It would take them a couple years to get there, I would think.
Right.
And that is better for Google, or that is better for Microsoft if Google doesn't have all the power. I think that's their intention here. That's not. I don't think those are good intentions, though.
But you don't think that Microsoft is just looking for a more competitive way to stay in the mobile marketplace, since Windows has never, ever really done well?
Right, and as a matter of fact, they make more money off of Android patent licensing than they do off of Windows Mobile.
I believe that. When's the last time you saw somebody with a Windows mobile phone?
I think I was traveling, and it was just like it's very, very, very rare. In fact, it was so rare that Angela pointed it out to me. She's like, "Hey, look, that's a Windows mobile phone."
You know what? If you had gone up to that man or woman and
they would
asked,
say they worked at Microsoft.
No, they would say. Well, they say that it was a work phone given to them. I would guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see people that buy that are going out that are saying, "Hey, you know what's coming out today? The latest Microsoft phone. I'm going to go get the latest Windows phone." I don't see that happening.
This is a part of a larger round of money that Cyanogen is raising. I think Microsoft's total accounts for $70 million into Cyanogen. Remember, these guys started as like a Kickstarter. I mean, this is impressive.
Right.
This is kind of amazing. It shows you how legit of a platform Android is.
Yeah. No, and what's funny is when we originally did that interview at OSCON, I was a little skeptical at some of the stuff that Chris DeBona said.
Yeah.
But the more I think about what he told me,
Chris DeBona at Google.
Right. And the more I think about what he told me, and the more when I keep that in mind as I look through this stuff, everything he said was true, and I see it being evidenced over and well, not everything, but the key points that he brought up.
Yeah.
That Android is just an exponential growth.
Yeah. His points, his philosophy around Android and its market share, I'm agreeing with more and more as time goes on. I think he has a revisionist history as to how Android came to the market. I think he has a revisionist history as to what innovations Android has brought to the market. But in his overall philosophy that Android is I think legitimately they created Android to disrupt monopolies. Like they created it because they didn't want Microsoft or Apple to own this next wave of devices that they obviously saw were coming.
Right.
So they bought Android, they modified it, and I think they were super focused on the phone. Like I always think when they started it was about the phone, because you've seen their BlackBerry prototypes.
Right.
You've seen those?
Yep.
And then they realized, okay, we got to go touch the Dream project, the Shoot for the Moon project. That was the G1. And then I think I'm sure they must have been aware, but I don't think their original vision was to create this ubiquitous platform OS. I think Android kind of became that because of what it does, because of who's behind it, and because manufacturers were able to wrap their brain around a singular product.
Well, and also I think it has a large part to do with the fact that the architecture it's based off of, right? Because ARM
that's
is
what I mean. Like, I thought I was going to say, okay, go ahead. Yeah, well, yes, go.
Well, I'm just thinking that the hardware. I mean, you look at when you go to a Linux conference now, there are tables set up about businesses that are built on ARM technology and things that just 5 years ago were not possible.
To underscore that, I would say when you go to conventions, the tables. It's more common now to see ARM devices on tables than it would be to see an x86 device.
Absolutely, unless you're talking about a laptop. Of course, even that wooden
wooden laptop
that's ARM.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean they might have like a display that's running on like an iMac or a Lenovo laptop, but if it's a hardware piece of device, if it's an enterprise piece of equipment, it's always ARM based, and it's either Linux or Android. And I think what the thing about Android is Linux. People obviously were shipping things with Linux, but it's really hard to just, for manufacturers like in China especially, to just really wrap their brain around Linux as a whole, but Android they can get. And that, I think, was a huge success for Google. And now they're in a totally different position, and the rest of the market's going like, wow, I can't believe it's had this. What can we do? Is there anything we can do? And I think Microsoft says, well, if we can back a serious contender, and I don't know if Cyanogen is that, but Microsoft seems to think they're $70 million worth of serious contender. If we can back and even just sort of disrupt the Android power structure even just a little bit, even give somebody a little bit of a voice, and Microsoft's looking at this going, okay, well, we can't get a seat at this table, but if we can make Cyanogen more powerful, maybe they'll have a louder voice at the table.
Right. Yeah.
It's an interesting play. Mumble Room, any thoughts before we move on? Going once, going twice. All right. Well, so the XPS 13 I got, did you know I bought that with Bitcoin?
Really?
Yeah. Did you know you can buy anything from the Dell store with Bitcoin?
No.
They just have a checkout button with Bitcoin.
Yeah. I wonder if it works on their dealer portal.
So let's see here. What is the price of Bitcoin right now? Let's see. Let's go to Bitcoin. I'm sure you check Bitcoin all the time.
I used to have
right?
a ticker on my phone, but then I switched phones and I haven't reinstalled it.
Do you have
yet.
any Bitcoin?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So the average price, wow, so it's actually doing a little bit better. The average price of this is bitcoinaverage.com, and it averages a bunch of different exchanges. And the average price right now is $231.
See, I was really rooting for it to go below 100.
Really?
Well,
You're going to buy some more?
Yeah. Because it'll go up over 300 by the end of 2015.
Well, here's what I'm wondering. What do you think's going to happen now? So they seized all these Bitcoins from the Silk Road, right?
Right.
Prosecutors are still selling off these Bitcoins, and I'm wondering if they keep selling these off, if it's going to affect the price even more. What do you think?
I hope so.
You think?
I hope so. I hope.
Yeah, I don't mind it being low either.
Well, no, because you can buy into it. And here's the thing: everyone complains. Like if you talk to any real financial expert, they'll all complain about the validity of Bitcoin. But the reality is, I like the validity of or the volatility.
Yeah, volatility.
Because what it does is it allows me to buy in something low and sell it something high, and I can do that within a 6-month time span.
It's almost like play investing in a way.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Except when you look at actual investing, there's all these fees and rules and regulation. It's very simple. They charge you 15 cents to buy it.
There's also there's a different tax, and don't take my tax advice. This is not a financial show. But I believe if you buy Bitcoin and you earn profit on that, and you never convert it back to cash, you don't have to pay taxes on it.
Because it's not a currency. So
I bought this XPS 13 laptop with Bitcoin.
Yep.
I bought it, I might have the dates kind of wrong. I think I bought it like January 7th, and about 3 days later, the price of Bitcoin tumbled.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, how would that stand up, too? Because if you think about it, as far as the federal government is concerned, Bitcoin is no different than bananas.
Right.
And you don't pay a banana tax if you want to buy.
I would equate Bitcoin no different to Microsoft points or online currencies or like Wow Gold or whatever.
Yeah, that's not as funny as bananas, though.
No, you're right. But it's so anyways, so the price is bouncing back up after that. But see, for Dell, they didn't take a loss either because they converted it to cash immediately upon transaction.
Right.
So nobody was
their
any
problem,
money.
though.
Yeah. So anyways, just a little comment on Bitcoin as it seems to be bouncing back up. But Noah, let's talk about VirtualBox.
Yeah.
You're a VirtualBox user?
I love VirtualBox.
When's the last time you used VirtualBox?
Last night. I use VirtualBox for a lot of things.
So VirtualBox development appears to be at a standstill. A lot of people have been saying this, and so I haven't really covered this because, it's just kind of hearsay, but I keep seeing the story come back up. This is probably the 4th time I've seen this story, so I thought, okay, all right, 4th time, I probably going to talk about this. So Phoronix is noting how it's been a long time since any major innovations or improvements to VirtualBox have happened. Now remember, this has sort of started to slow once Oracle bought VirtualBox. I kind of noticed that. There was some good spurts, but it seems to slow overall. Meanwhile, VMware has improved quite a bit. KVM, Xen, VirtManager, all related Linux virtualization technologies continue to advance really well. Is there any hope left for VirtualBox? It has been said that there are only 4 paid developers left on VirtualBox team at Oracle, which is not enough manpower to significantly advance such a complex piece of software. The version 4.3 series has been receiving some maintenance updates during the last 2 years, but that's about it. So what do you think, Noah? Is VirtualBox on life support?
Well, first of all, I like things like the other things that they're comparing it to. Particularly, some of those are they're totally different animals. Some of those are designed for servers, right? Things like libvirt, those things are designed to do totally different things than what VirtualBox is designed to do. And to that end, what VirtualBox, or at least what I use VirtualBox for, which is I want to spin up another operating system for a couple of minutes and then shut it back down. Works just. What other improvements do I need? It works just fine.
I tend to mostly agree with you, and then every now and then, I try out VMware Workstation. Like I've been doing that again lately, just on that Bonobo. I've been trying out VMware Workstation Demo, and it is a lot faster. And like just about every distro, just like virtual video drivers works just right out of the box. And
at the point where where I'm going to be using it heavily enough that I care about that stuff, I'm going to put it on another drive. And I have those.
Yeah.
I don't know if I texted you about it. I found those little SSD drives, those USB 3 SSD drives for like $29.
Yeah.
You can install an operating
That's true.
system to that. I plug that in, I boot it up.
That's not a bad way to go. And I might consider that. See, for me, the reason why I like VMware is I get such good performance. And when I'm reviewing a distro that's like a Mate desktop or, it's a really low-end desktop anyways, if I can get super great accelerated performance under VMware, it's almost like, gosh, this is such a nice way, because this is such a better way for me to review a distro, because I can try out crazy stuff and revert back. Not that you can't do that with VirtualBox, but because the performance is so there, I don't feel like I'm judging the distro like on leggy performance, and I sit right down here and I can use it. I'm really torn, so for my server virtualization, I've also moved away from VirtualBox because have you ever used
No.
VirtualBox headless isn't that bad. It's not that bad, but it gets a little hokey, right? So I've been using Proxmox, and for me, I like Proxmox better. It sits on top of KVM. It's an older version of KVM, and it also does containers, but it gives you a web UI. Have you ever played with Proxmox?
A little bit, yeah.
It's not bad.
We have so many servers that are just running on Red Hat or CentOS with libvirt that I'm so comfortable with it that
totally.
I gravitate towards what I know.
What do you think about 4 developers left? Do you think that's a bad sign?
I don't know that they really need more. I mean, I guess it depends on what new technology comes out and what they'll have to work with. So, for example,
well, how about this? Let me throw this out there for you. Like, wouldn't it be amazing? Wouldn't it be amazing if VirtualBox could figure out direct virtual video pass through, so you could do full 3D accelerated in VirtualBox? Wouldn't that be amazing? Like, I would love that. Oh God, I would.
Yeah.
Like, think about for Windows gamers. If there was just 1 or 2 games that you just had to have that are Windows based, like for me, Stowe runs under Wine, but it's clunky, and Star Wars: The Old Republic, another game I like, just doesn't even work under Wine at all. I have subscriptions to those because I bought Lifetimes like years ago, but I don't play them anymore because I'm on Linux all the time.
Yeah.
If I could launch VirtualBox and have like a Windows XP or a Windows 7, yes, I said XP. Trust me, I don't want anything much, and just have fully accelerated 3D, I think I might do it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But you can start to do it with KVM today. Like, it's starting to become possible, just a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
What about this? That is WW. I don't know if they could do it. WW, you're in the mum room. Go ahead and just voice your thought right there. I love it.
They should just open source it, and so everybody can work on it and make it last for as long as possible.
Yeah. See that? Yeah.
There's the open source edition, right? There is the VirtualBox open source edition, and then there's like the proprietary. I don't really understand all of that, though.
I didn't know there was. First of all, I didn't know it existed. Second of all, what's the difference?
I don't know. Like you don't get USB with the open source edition.
What?
You don't get like the remote desktop capabilities with the open source edition. Some of
Really?
yeah.
I think you do get USB now.
Oh, okay. USB? No, yeah, you get USB, but not like USB 2 or better, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh wait. I think the proprietary part is the Oracle VM VirtualBox part, where Oracle has some of their stuff to allow support of certain things.
So, my gut tells me that this is one of those properties, because it's been around for so long. There's probably a whole bunch of licensed code in there that they don't even own.
Yeah. I'll say this much. I'll be in a world of hurt if VirtualBox ever goes away, because there are certain programs. Yeah, well, I will. There are. I suppose I can go to some other virtualization.
Have you played with boxes?
No, and I should, because it comes default on my Fedora install.
It's a great virtualization manager. And it just uses the kernel features. I mean, like I've run Windows VMs, Ubuntu VMs in there. You should try out boxes.
I'll have to give it a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will side go to something like that, but I absolutely cannot live without a virtualized environment. So there's some things I just have to do.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what I'd do.
Yeah.
If I didn't. Yeah.
To be honest, I'd love to be able to virtualize Mac OS. Then I would never need a Mac.
Yeah. So that was what I was going to say when I said they probably don't need more for developers, and what other improvements could be made. One of them would be if you could do Mac OS.
Yeah. Of course, the problem is Apple.
Well, yeah, but
because you have to have.
Here's the thing. Everyone else has found a way to get around that.
Well, I think part of it is like you can do it like on VMware on a Mac today. But there's no 3D acceleration, and the Mac OS runs like a horrible pig. horrible pig.
Yeah.
It's totally unusable. And you can't use any of the pro apps because they detect no 3D acceleration. They won't even launch.
Yeah, you can do it on VirtualBox, but you have to use the OS 10 server edition.
That was Robot Rotten Corpse. Did you like that? That was good. Yeah, exactly. And to buy a Mac just to virtualize Mac, that totally defeats the whole point.
Right.
I just need a
Especially
couple
because of the buy the Mac part.
Yeah. So, anyways, it's a very interesting. It's an interesting state of affairs, and we'll watch it and see what happens. Because I also really my go-to most of the time is VirtualBox, and I just sort of experiment with VMware from time to time. Hey, Noah, check it out. We hit 440 patrons over at patreon.com/today. Thanks, everybody. I didn't think we were going to make it.
You know what's great about being a Patreon, at least if you're in the Swag Club member?
Oh yeah. Oh, thank you. I've been meaning to mention this.
You get a mouse pad.
I cannot believe I haven't mentioned. Yeah, our Swag Club members this week got Jupiter Broadcasting mouse pads.
They are sweet.
Yeah, they're really cool, aren't they?
I've never had a mouse pad. I've seen them, but I've never spent my own money on one with the palm rest.
The shoulders. Yeah, the palm rest.
Yeah, you know what? I have a trackball, so mouse pads are really not used.
Right.
I don't have a use for them, but that is super cool. Like I set it down, and I'm like, hey, Jupiter Broadcasting.
Yeah, and it's in the felt, too, the logo, which is neat. I like that. So, yeah, go over to patreon.com/today and support the Jupiter Broadcasting Network. We are relaunching the How to Linux show. And we're going to try to, be able to pay the people that are working on the show, even though the show's not going to have any sponsors. The show is super focused, super tight, and at least initially for a while, it's not going to have any sponsorships because we really want to focus on the content. We would not be able to do something like that, have a show that has staff and pay them if it wasn't for our patrons. And that's why patreon.com/today is a way to enable us to expand the Jupiter Broadcasting Network, to try new projects, and not have to go find a bunch of sponsors, bring in more commercials. I'm not opposed to sponsorships. I think when they fit, they're great. And I like our balance right now of community funding and commercial funding as multiple revenue sources, so that way the network isn't on the hook for one particular source, and we can be flexible both ways, and we have leverage with our sponsors. I think it's a really great arrangement. But what I'm more excited than all of that, and I think that's fundamental to making sure we focus on the content. I mean, I don't want to minimize it, but today what I'm really excited is we are so close. Like, we're about to record the first batch of the new How to Linux show. Mm-hmm. And it's because of the funding from this Patreon page. And it's so rewarding to have the audience fund the next generation of content that they're going to be watching. Like, it's such a cool system. It's such a great model.
Well, and the great thing is you are responsible then to only the audience.
I know.
And not...
Right.
Yeah.
Just have to make sure it's a show they want to watch. Which is so... It's just how it needs to be. And when you start to think of it in this light, you can see what's so wrong with the sort of more mainstream media structure. It's patreon.com/today if you want to get in on that. Plus... you get access to our activity feed, which includes behind-the-scenes videos, and like Noah said, there's even the Swag Club level where you get swag from time to time. That's just sort of like a nice surprise that shows up in your mailbox from Jupiter Broadcasting. Patreon.com/today. Thanks to all 440 of you. I really appreciate it a lot. So now, you're not a big fan of Apple, I'm gathering today.
I love Apple.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This weekend's the Super Bowl. Did you know that, actually?
That's where the puppies jump around? Or?
That's something else.
Oh.
Yeah, that's something else.
Huh.
And so I thought we'd look back at Apple's famous 1984 Super Bowl commercial, but maybe now with a new perspective. If you are familiar with this commercial, the antagonist, the bad guy, antagonist, right, in this commercial is supposed to be IBM. Because it was Apple versus IBM lock-in, the IBM ecosystem, the IBM man who was preventing you from doing what you wanted to do with your computer. But I think, and maybe some people would argue it's not the case, but I think a lot of people would argue, in a lot of ways, Apple has become the very thing that they were sort of fighting against in this commercial. So with the Super Bowl just on the horizon, I thought it would be kind of appropriate to look back at this commercial with a new perspective. Thanks for joining us this week, everybody. Be sure to join us on Sunday. Noah will be in studio for the Linux Action Show, and my wife may rope him into joining her on the faux show after the Linux Action Show, depending on his travel schedule. And, of course, Tech Talk Today will be back Tuesday. We'll run Tuesday through Friday next week. Join us 9 a.m., noon Eastern. Oh, no Kickstarter of the week this week, because nobody submitted a single link to our subreddit. Our poor, lonely subreddit needs your love. techtalktoday.reddit.com. Thanks for being here, everybody. Enjoy this retro commercial. See you next week.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the information purification directives we have created for the first time in all history. A garden of pure ideology where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests, obeying contradictory thoughts. Our unification of the leads one army on Earth. We are one people, with one will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.